Good morning, everybody. It's November 7th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Oh, hey, everybody. Andrew Plank here with the Vibe Real Estate Group and Royal LePage.
And
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
Hey.
How has your week been going, everybody?
You know what? For me, it's been about closing loops. So it's been a little slower, but nice getting, keys handed out and, starting to transition. Although, Jane, I saw you did 3 deals recently. I saw one of our colleagues also posted doing 3 deals over the weekend. It sounds like the buyers are busy out there.
Yeah, it feels like it just, you know what? It's partially the sellers willing to work with the buyer. So.
How about you, Jen? How was your week?
It's been good, very busy, which is great. I was in a conference at the beginning of this week over in Vancouver, which was great. And then watching the market closely with the effects of the election. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how quickly things have changed. I even received an email from my trading software platform that said, hey, do you want to make some changes to your portfolio now that there's a new government coming in, because we anticipate this, and this. And,
really?
A lot of people trying to line up and get ahead of this.
Yeah.
Like what kind of changes?
Well, actually, let me find it and I'll just give you the Coles note. I mean, it was more of a, maybe it came through on my.
Okay, you look for that.
Yeah,
whoops.
I will.
Jen just left for some reason.
We lost Jen. Jen down.
What happened there?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, let's just start with the show. And if we have time at the end, we'll go back to Andrew and what they were saying. Okay, first of all, we just want to thank every. Okay. You want to go ahead then? Yeah.
Well, okay. So I was saying, and I've got to do some little trading on Quest Trade for fun, and there's U.S. sectors and industries to watch post-election, and it's talking about banks. U.S. bank stocks climbed on the expectation that Trump's administration will loosen rules and regulations around that sector. Technology, again, regulation changes are expected to boost the technology sector. Healthcare, pharma stocks already seen significant growth in the wake of Trump's victory. Because remember, the Democrats were suggesting that they were going to be, cutting costs for healthcare. And then, of course, defense. Trump's promise to strengthen and modernize America's military. Defense stocks are on the rise. And I think the big one is probably crypto. He's made pledges that America will be the crypto capital of the planet. And Bitcoin has reached a new record high.
Wow.
So, but we're talking real estate. So, what does this mean for real estate? I kind of was feeling like reaching out to some of the people I've spoken with in the past that are Canadian citizens living in the States, maybe thinking they might want to make a move.
I've had 3 inquiries.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's look at the market and see. I think the border's closed, right? So it'll have to be Canadians repatriating or people who are coming here to study. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Borders are closed for now. Yeah. They're also thinking we'll see a wave of immigrants coming here from people as Trump starts to push illegal immigrants out of the U.S. And that could really affect us here.
Good.
A lot. Yeah,
welcome.
I know.
Welcome to Canada.
It's a question of housing.
That's the big challenge. We're already very behind the times with our housing starts.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is, you guys, is just visiting Ontario recently, I realized there is so much space in Canada. It's just not in Victoria. I look at how we're building here and I look at how they build in Ontario. In Ontario, it's flat and wide.
Mm-hmm.
And here it's it's like now we're going up.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to go up here. Places that are a little flatter just tend to sprawl.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
Jane, you really want to say, hey folks, if you like our show, please press the like button. Please subscribe because we'd love to give you notices of us coming on again. Please comment because we love to hear from you and we want to have some great great discourse. And of course, please share if there's anything here that you think would be useful to other people. How was that, Jane?
I love it. You did great. All right, so let's talk about, I'll do your work for this week. Okay, so for the past 7 days, I just want you to put this into perspective because we're in November and normally the numbers go way down, but we've actually remained remarkably consistent. So 239 new listings, 136 pending. That's compared to the week before, 249 and 152. If you want to do the math on that. 125 price decreases this week and 105 last week. So people are looking to really get their house sold. Price increases 3. And sometimes there are people who put their prices up because they figure the market is going to increase in the spring. I recently was doing a transaction and the seller increased their counteroffer when the buyer didn't respond right away by $5,000. So there you go. Sold.
Yeah, the market was going up so fast they decided to increase.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, expireds are 126. That's because a lot of people expire at the end of the month, and that's compared to the previous week, which was 46. So.
Right.
Anyway, okay, next one, Andrew.
So here we are, November 2024. We're only at the 7th. So, and this was actually from Monday the 4th, these stats. So as in 4 days into the, and that's of course 2 days a weekend, but yeah, 30 unconditional sales compared to 394 the year before for the whole month. 89 new listings came on market in 4 days. 885 for the whole month of November 2023, and 3,103 was the active listing inventory, well up from the 2,644 last year. And if we look to last month, we had 559 net unconditional sales in October, and I wouldn't be surprised. We tend to go down, and we had only, again, 394 in November of last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a pretty high number of unconditional sales this month.
I agree.
Our active listings are down over last month. Last month we had 3,172. We're at 3,103. We have really good sales happening. We have new listing inventory coming in as well, but traditionally this time of year we start to see the inventory starting to slow down, and I suspect that we are going to be going in right now. From that the last slide, we saw that there were quite a few price reductions. I think those are going to dry up come spring, January, even February, March. As our inventory starts to go down, I believe it's going to go down and our sales will go up.
I feel like right now we have a little buyer pent up demand of people wanting to get in before the spring market. And I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Some people are waiting, but I think, take it as it comes now. Yeah.
Right now, we have sellers who are feeling that angst of, when am I going to sell? And it's winter and it's slower. It's been slower. And so what am I going to sell? And they're maybe a little bit softer on what they're willing to take. And we're seeing those price reductions. Buyers are feeling the confidence of the lower interest rates. That's a perfect connection right now. That's going to dry up very soon as we start to see stats like we had last month, where we had record sales for the month of October.
Yeah. Just saying hi to my friend who liked what we were saying.
Hello, Hope.
Okay, Jen, you were at a conference this past week. What did you learn?
Well, we had a great presentation from our chief economist, Dr. Sherry Cooper, who we've got a big week this week. Well, obviously we had the US election and we know the results from that. How's that going to affect our interest rates? So I'm actually at 10 o'clock this morning looking forward to a presentation by one of our lender partners with his insights and his predictions. And then this coming Friday, tomorrow, we've got our employment numbers that are going to be released, and we're interested to see what that number is, as that will let us know if we're going to be looking at a 50% further reduction to prime rate in December. So if
50?
those numbers, 50, another, or pardon me, 0.5, 0.5%.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was up early this morning. 50 basis points, sorry. If those numbers are weaker than expected, then the chances of a 0.5% further rate cut is stronger.
I don't think, well, we'll see, because a lot of it depends on the housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it also depends on what the US Treasury does, and their rate decision is today at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Currently, there was, Dr. Sherry Cooper said, 94% chance of a 0.25% rate cut. So if in the States, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So question for you, Jen. Don't know if you know the answer to this, but if the US economy versus Canadian economy, if the US dollar versus Canadian dollar strengthens and the Canadian dollar weakens, does that affect interest rates as well? Or would the bank consider interest rates because of some discrepancies there?
Well, our interest rates are basically the fixed interest rates are determined based on the bond yields. And the biggest influencer of the bond yields is what's happening with the US Treasury.
Okay.
So
yes.
It's all really honestly dependent on what's happening in the US economy right now for whether the fixed rates are going to go up or down or stay the same. Now, historically, the winter months, the bond yields do creep up. And then in the spring, interest rates do tend to come down a little bit because of the spring market.
Interesting. So does that mean, and that's in relation to fixed rates?
Fixed rates,
yeah. So it's sort of, if you're looking to renew your mortgage, it's probably better to do it in the spring on average?
Can be. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Rates tend to be a little bit higher. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go back to our stats. So total active listings over the past 2 years, we were at 2,200 the end of October 2022. We were just coming out of kind of serious COVID there. In October 2023, our total inventory went up to 2,800, and now we've just starting a little slide down. We're at 3,200, so we're seeing it kind of level out. Thoughts on that, Andrew?
I mean, it's that bump, that rise in the spring of 2024, and then hitting that peak, and then coming down in summer, and then rising again. That's actually a more traditional bump that we sort of expect to see. You know, we haven't seen that for a little while, where there's actually a bit of a lull in summer. Not that we had, I feel like I had a busy summer, but that's just interesting to see. But, you know, you can see the writing on the wall for the coming months in terms of listings. The inventory tends to go down as we approach the December mark, where that's usually traditionally the low point. And then we start to build up again.
I'm seeing what Andrew's saying is here you can see in May we had an increase in listings and we also had an increase in sales. And this is bumping up again in October, which follows more of our natural market. Last year we peaked in May, but then we went down. We didn't have that kind of fall run we normally do. Even though we had the increase in listings, we didn't have a bump up in sales. So interesting. Yeah, I always like to look at this because I figure if you look at May, a lot of people list in May because they want to sell when the flowers are out. But if you look at actually the ratio of the list to sales, so the sales are almost at 800, which is what they were in the fall of 2021. You have a less of a chance of selling than you do in other months. So.
Well, not only less of a chance, because you have more competition, but the actual sales are increasing month over month from January, February, March, April, May. After May, the actual sales, and that's the line, not the bar, in this graph, is starting to go down. And so you're actually, regardless of the ratio, the actual buyer activity is starting to move off. And yet people are still listing their homes. So I always encourage people to get ahead of it, March or April. Don't wait, even February, catch that wave up. Don't try to ride it back down.
Yep. I've got the stats digest for the past 10 years. We should put them together and see. Look at the ride over time. Okay, sales to listing ratio. So we are in a balanced market, folks, and it looks like we've been kind of fluctuating in and out of a balanced market for the last year, I would say. 14% apparently is a seller's market. Go ahead. Or buyer's market.
Well, and we're moving back. We're moving back towards, it's a slight up September over October, but I expect this graph and this trend to continue on an upward trajectory. Maybe fair to middling for the next few months, but it's definitely not. I don't believe it's going to be on a downward curve over the next few months.
I don't believe you
either. Ratio is going to be tightening up.
I think it's going to be where it was in the spring, so like around 30%. Okay, single family homes, Andrew.
Yeah, so our average price for single family home in Greater Victoria, it's been up and down. Even if you look at this graph and kind of average it out, it's not seen a lot of really substantial change. There was definitely some strength in summer of 2023 in terms of pricing, but nothing really exceptional anywhere here. So, back in October 2022, average home value was probably 1,225,000-ish, and reached a peak in 2023 summer of around 1.375 million, and currently we're sitting closer to right around the point of 1.25 on average price for single family home. So not a lot of excitement, and that's good. Business as usual is often the best thing. I anticipate again prices will probably bolster a bit this spring.
To me, the difference between real estate 2 years ago and now is that 2 years ago we had a very narrow range. Now there's more choice for buyers. The average may be similar, but there's more housing under 800,000. Like in 2 years ago, there wasn't a house under 950. So
right, yeah. We also have the new rule coming in December for, as Jen can probably speak to, around the CMHC rules and the ability to do a high ratio mortgage up to 1.5.
Which could increase. Oh, sorry, Jane.
The average.
No, you go ahead.
I think it could increase the average single family home price for sure.
Yeah. There were a lot of people who were listing, a lot of realtors who were listing homes around $999, and I was telling one of my sellers that, and but there was a little bit of feeling that they wanted to negotiate down rather than negotiate up, and so it'll be interesting to see how that strategy will change, because we had houses that were kind of on the cusp of being yucky. And that was a good price point because you could get people who'd be like, well, I'll pay up to $1 million and then I can have a little bit of money to work on it. Now, if it's listed over, I'm wondering if they'll sell as fast or not, you know?
Well, I do think some were artificially low because they were hoping to get multiple offers or bring in that segment of the marketplace that couldn't afford the above $1 million because they had to do the high ratio mortgage. So I think that is a conversation that people were having with their sellers, and I don't think that conversation is, I mean, it's not as useful now. It's not.
Yeah. Okay, condos, Andrew.
I mean, again, in the last number of months, it's been really, really flat. Condos have been boring. They've been really boring for a while. And that's, again, that's fine. I think it's a good opportunity for people who are looking to do a move into a condo because, again, I feel like we are still low on inventory in general for people's housing. And so there's that. But no, we've been, again, sort of a peak in May 2023, a valley in December 2023. Prices rose into 2024 and then hit a peak, and then it's just kind of been on a, you know, they came down a little bit. Now they've just been steady.
So what's interesting is I went to do a market analysis on a condo in Victoria in a very popular building, and I'm looking at the sales, and I really love it when people trust me, right? Like when I say, okay, well, this is where I'm going to give you two prices. This is where it's going to sell well and quickly, and this is where you can negotiate down, and you know, maybe it'll take a little time. And they're like, let's just sell it well. And I'm looking at all the condos on the market. Like there were probably 70 comparable 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos in downtown Victoria. So to me, you know, that says it's a buyer's market. When we look at the list to sale ratio and we look at whether or not it's a buyer's or seller's market, we also have to look at what the area is and what the inventory that we're selling is. I think that condos we're more flush with condos than we have been in a long time. So and I always find this interesting because the announcement for the release of investment condos, like no short-term condos rule came in the spring, and I'm surprised the prices went up because there was a ton of properties that came on and people were trying to, well, I guess they were trying to sell them a little higher, but
they were trying for a higher price point because they started out at a higher price point. Like that when we were allowed to do short-term rentals, those short-term rentals, despite being smaller than an equivalent, like a little 1-bedroom bachelor suite could be worth more than a 1-bedroom home because it had income potential. But that when they removed that option, the sellers didn't just immediately take that loss. So yes, we haven't really seen those drop in price, and they're also a specialized product, and they're a small representation of the wider. As you said, there's a lot of inventory, so that's more of a drop in the bucket.
So interesting. So I was talking to the lady who's managing this. So these condos, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos, are getting $4,000 to $5,000 a month in the summer, and then in the winter it's dropping down significantly. But you know, if you're looking for a rental potential, and she was also saying that under the Residential Tenancy Act, they are trying to circumvent, depending on the licensing of the person managing the rental, you can actually do 1-month rentals still. But anyway, I have to check if that's correct. Well, maybe we'll have her on as a guest. But wouldn't that be interesting? Under the Residential Tenancy Act. Okay.
Under residential tenancy, 1-month rentals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so road townhouses, we always talk about the fact that there's a variety of quality out there, but what we're seeing generally over the past 8 months, 10 months is it is again very steady. And I'm thinking there's not a lot of new inventory. So that's why we're not seeing a lot of bumps
Yeah.
up and down.
Yeah, I mean, the main takeaway from this graph is, again, just, the the main takeaway with this graph is that the best time to buy a townhouse is probably in the winter,
Winter.
because that's where you see some drops. But at the same time, because there's such a variability in our townhouse inventory and the actual townhouse product, there's a wide range in what we would consider a townhouse. That any given month you could have 3 high-end townhouses, and then another month you might have to sell one entry-level townhouse built in 1970.
Yeah.
So you're going to jump around on your average pricing.
I had a townhouse for sale this year. We listed 75 higher than, or sorry, 100,000 higher than the last one that just sold. There was no other inventory actually available. Called around new developments to ask them what their interest level was. It was high. So I felt justified. We got 75 over the last sale. So it's all about what is for sale and price range and what you can potentially get.
And we just had this, I just had kind of the opposite, where we listed a property for sale, and there was another property that had some similar characteristics, languishing in the area, not selling. This property was in I think a better built complex and a little more desirable complex, and it had really high quality finish, but it was competing against a lot of new construction in the area. And so that new construction was for sale, for some of it for similar price point, but it just did not have the same quality or layout. And but when you have that kind of, that there's always going to be a new one around the corner, it's really hard for the property to actually establish its own true value.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming to the end. My favorite graph. Andrew hates this graph.
You say that every time. I don't hate it. It's just very difficult to read and difficult, I think, for people to kind of.
A lot of numbers.
Track. Yeah.
Okay, so single family homes. This is to basic Greater Victoria, 1,100,000. This is the benchmark price, 1,157,600. So this is up 10,000, 15,000 from September, and it's pretty much on par with last year in October at just less than 0.1%. In the core, we're looking higher at 1.3 million for the benchmark for single family homes. This is just up 1.6% from last year and down 0.8%. So pretty even year over year. And let's just do the peninsula at a million.
You said 1.6 from last year. You mean 1.6 from last month and 0.8
last month.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the West Shore is at 1,019,400. This is just up 5,000 from last month at 1,014,000. And last year was 1,018,000. So we're only 0.1% up from last year. That's great. So that's showing a very steady market, exactly what we're saying. So condos, $549,000 for October 2024. That's compared to 575 for October 2023. So we're just down 4.5%. We're just down a little bit from last year in all areas. The biggest drop was in the core at 5.4%. And we're at 547,800.
And we had more of those short-term rentals in the core as well, so that would track.
I love it when we're right. Okay, townhomes.
Yeah, stats don't lie.
782,600 in Greater Victoria. The benchmark price last year was 776, so we're up 1.9% year over year, and just up 0.7% from last month. In the core, that's Victoria, Saanich, Vic West, Esquimalt, View Royal, and Saanich West. $857,000. So that is up 2.5% from last year, which was at 837,000, and pretty much on par with October 2023. Rush Shore, 707,000. So this is where you're going to get your deals, folks. Benchmark price was 714,000 in 2024 of September. And this is up from October 2023, where it was 681,000. So up 3.9% year over year. And the Peninsula, you know, it's funny. The Peninsula used to be able to get a deal on townhouses. Now it's 777,000, so it's higher than the West Shore. This is less than last year when it was 802,000, and I can tell you they have been struggling a bit with some of the townhomes.
Let's talk about townhomes just really briefly while you're on this. You've wrapped up this slide, right? Or do you want to finish that up? So, you know, what's interesting is townhouses fall into this category that currently the builders are not really building as many townhouses now. They're expensive to build. People are either building small homes on single family lots, or they're doing condos and condo developments and maximizing the value out of the land. So I don't think we're seeing that type of product as much as we did. And yet there's a market for it, especially for the single level townhomes for retirees who are looking to downsize and don't want the upkeep of a single family home. So it's not surprising to me that the Peninsula townhouses would be going up in value, for example.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I'm went to go and look at a townhouse. We call them a stacked townhouse. That's what the seller told me. It's one above the other, so it's
a condo.
Well, it's main level entry, so it's interesting because it's direct entry from outside, and 1,600 square feet. I mean, that's a big size for a condo or a townhome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the problem with single level retirement homes is the land that they take up.
Yes.
Like, just not sustainable.
That's why we're also seeing less ranchers single family homes built as well. It's just not as valued. You could build a 3-level, 2,500 square foot home, or a single level, 1,000 square foot home.
Yeah. And it's funny, a lot of people talk about, I want to have a tiny home. That's great, but tiny homes just don't really make sense. They just don't make sense. They're not sustainable.
I agree. I'm just going to have to sneak out. I've just got my meeting here at 10, my Zoom call. So it was nice to see you guys. Oh,
if you guys want to get in touch with Jen, 250.
Feel free to reach me. 250-217-4925, and email is jen@jenlow.ca.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
See you next week.
See you next week, buddy. Okay. Okay, so 9:30 next week. If anybody wants to show up, we will be here as usual every week.
Unless we're not.
Unless we're not. We're not going to be going into December that much. Okay, how do people reach you, my darling?
Yeah, you can reach me at 2050 360 6106. That's 250-360-6106. And my email is info@andrewplank.com. And website andrewplank.com, or check us out on our website realvibe.ca. That's the Vibe Real Estate Group's website, realvibe.ca.
Okay, we're going to edit that. Oh, that's Jen. This is me. Hey, buddy, I am Jane Johnston. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. We're on the web at briarhillgroup.com, and you can watch these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com or on our YouTube channels, Andrew's and mine. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria, or the Briar Hill Group for our corporate Instagram. All right, have a great day, and we'll chat with you later. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.